Welcome. In this lecture, we're going to look at the engine room of primed adventuring. We've talked about the need to pause and the need to rebalance. But once you have created that space, what do you actually do with it? Well, you need to build. You need to construct a specific kind of cognitive architecture that allows you to navigate a world that you cannot predict. This architecture is called the completion complex. It's not a random bag of tricks. It's an integrated system of mental models designed to help you create satisfaction in your life. It all begins here. As Rollo May famously said, human freedom lives in the pause between stimulus and response. Most of us just live on autopilot. Something happens, a stimulus, and we react instantly. This is not freedom, in that there is only habit. The first step of building your architecture is developing the discipline to pry that gap open. Without the pause, none of the tools I'm about to show you can work, because you won't have the time to pick them up. Once you have the pause, you become an architect. Your goal is to build a completion complex. It may be slightly different to what we're going to walk through here, but the essence should be there. Think of this as a lattice work. It's a set of generative mental models that worked in concert. A single model, like knowing how to negotiate, is useful, but it's weak on its own. But when you integrate multiple models, combining negotiation with systems thinking and self-awareness, you create a synergistic effect. You move from having a tool belt to having a navigation system. The complex is built in layers. The foundation is the rebalancing heuristic. These are the overarching mental models. Before you can understand the world outside, you must master the world inside. You need tools to rebalance your relationship with your own thoughts, emotions, and assumptions. If your inner world is chaotic, your outer world will be reactive, no matter how smart you are. The core mechanism of this foundation is subject-object rebalancing. This is the shift from what has us, the subject, to what we have, the object. When you are subject to your anxiety, it controls you. You look through it like a lens. When you make that anxiety object, you look at it, you examine it, manage it, and choose whether to act on it. This shift is the source of all self-awareness. And it's the internal seat of judgment that is required for true agency. Once the inner world is stabilized, we turn outward. This brings us to the problem understanding heuristic. These are your analytic mental models. You cannot solve a problem you cannot see clearly. These tools allow you to deconstruct the challenges and opportunities in your environment. They strip away the noise so you can see what is really happening there. One of the most critical analytical models is the rules of the game. Every social environment, your workplace, your industry, your community, operates on evolutionary principles. There are variations. You need to understand where new ideas come from in that space. There are processes of selection. How does the environment decide what succeeds and what fails? And there's always moments and processes of retention. How are successful ideas preserved? If you don't understand these rules, you're playing blind. You might be creating great variations, but if you don't understand the selection criteria of your boss or your market, you're most likely going to fail. Finally, we move to action. This is the problem-solving heuristic. These are your community mental models. This is where the rubber meets the road. With a stable inner world and a clear view of your outer world, you can now engage with others to create value. These models help you to navigate social dynamics, build alliances, and execute your vision. Now, here is the secret sauce. The power isn't in any single model. It is in their integration. We call this the interject effect. Interject means to look between. Ject means to cast doubt. When these models work together, you combine subject-object balance with rules of the game, you get a multiplier effect. You can look between your internal biases and the external reality and cast doubt on your assumptions. This cognitive triangulation is what separates a novice from a master navigator. Let's apply this. Meet the wannabe entrepreneur. This person is stuck. They lack self-knowledge and they are ignorant of the rules of the game. They are trapped in the pursuit of fiction, chasing hype and untested assumptions. They face a high risk of psychological and financial harm because they are acting on fantasy, not reality. How do they use the completion complex? Well, first, they pause. They stop rushing. Second, they use subject-object rebalancing. They take their excitement and fear and make it object. They stop being driven by hype. Third, they use environmental reading. They objectively analyse the market, what are the actual retention mechanisms, etc. Fourth, they check their resource profile. Do they actually have the money and networks? They move from anxiety to cold, hard analysis. Now, they move to action. Maybe they use surreptition. Instead of running the same race as everybody else, i.e. competing, they design a unique value proposition, a monopoly. They clarify their value creation logic, and they use a value shop perhaps to solve problems, or a value chain to make products. They test for legitimacy. Do stakeholders actually understand and accept the idea? And they use selling and persuasion to align their narrative with the decision-making styles of their partners. The result is a profound shift. They move from strategic differentiation to a venture grounded in reality. They build resilience through self-knowledge because they understand their resources. They can adapt to setbacks without collapsing. They gain agency. They are no longer subject to hype. They are the architects of their own reality-based adventure. This is self-negotiated action. Understand this. This isn't just learning a few business tricks. It's rewiring your brain. As you use these models, they become subordinate structures. They upgrade what you previously knew. You are physically building robust predictive reference frames in your neocortex. You are turning brittle knowledge into deep adaptive wisdom. The ultimate goal isn't a degree on the wall. It's a state of continuous education. To remain educated, as we've talked about so many times, the primed adventurer constantly asks 3 questions. Where am I? Where am I going? And therefore, what must I do now? If you cannot answer these questions, you are temporarily uneducated, and that is okay, because with the completion complex, you have the tools to find the answers. The adventure belongs to those with the courage to pause. I look forward to talking to you in Lecture 5.